1.9 million. That's the number of people that passed through U.S. airports both last Friday and again on Monday. It's a big deal because that is the largest number of airline passengers in the U.S. since March of 2020 when the pandemic hit. But what's even more interesting is that on those U.S. flights, business class and first class were full. Coach and economy were not. In this edition of Commerce Code, quality, not quantity, travel's new digital paradigm. I'm Silvio Tavares here in San Francisco. This is Commerce Code, brought to you by DCA, the Digital Commerce Alliance. It's great to be with you. We've been waiting for this moment for a very long time. More than a year, actually, since the pandemic hit the digital commerce and travel industries like a wrecking ball. The travel industry is finally roaring back to life, particularly in the US. With over 50% of adult Americans now vaccinated, people feel comfortable flying again. In Europe, that continent is on track to have vaccinated 70% of its adults by the end of the summer, and they too are starting to travel again. The travel sector is so important to digital commerce because it drives an outsized amount of spending on credit cards and mobile wallets, on everything from airlines to hotels to restaurants. Travel is a big driver of commerce. But what's really interesting right now is that travel spending is reappearing in a very different way than what existed before the pandemic. Consumers are gravitating to the quality of travel, not just the quantity of travel. Flyers expect to travel less than before the pandemic, but at the same time, they expect a more curated and personalized experience. That is one reason why business class cabins and first class cabins are full and coach and economy are not. A new breed of technology companies have developed sophisticated algorithms and data sets to help travel companies curate the right travel experience for consumers who increasingly expect custom travel. On the show today, we speak with the founder and CEO of Travelsify, a leading travel algorithms company based in Luxembourg. Bruno Chauvat is an expert in travel and how travel is changing in the post-pandemic world. Good morning, Bruno. How are you?
I'm fine, Silvio. How are you?
I'm doing very, very well. It's a sunny day here in San Francisco. And where are you today?
I'm in Luxembourg, and I can tell you that it's sunny as well. So we share something. Not the same time zone, but the weather at least.
Now, your company is so close to what's happening in travel. And in fact, one of the largest hotel chains in Europe is a major investor in your company, Accor Hotels. So you really know what's going on in the travel industry, but you also have a really unique view on what's going to happen next. So let me ask you to look into the future. What should we expect in terms of new travel experiences, new ways in which people will travel over the next year and even beyond that?
I think first that third quarter of this year will be very positive for leisure travelers during summertime. For the fourth quarter, the business travel will be more important than for the third quarter. So the jury is still out because it will depend on when companies are going to come back to work on site, or are they going to keep large teams working remotely? Will events or conferences take place again physically? This way to come back to business travel, to leisure travel, is really intrinsic to the people's lives. And that's something which is super important. And my forecast is that from 2022, we'll have a much more normal year. But much more normal year does not mean that people will travel exactly the same way as they used to do in the past. They will enjoy more nearby destinations, more type of travel which is matching their lifestyle, which is super important. I would say this is the end clearly of one-size-fits-all travelers.
Really interesting. And as you speak, one of the things that becomes really clear is that travel is something that's really intrinsic to people. I think we often think of travel as a luxury and something that is maybe optional and superfluous in some ways. But in the way you're talking about it, it really is something that's quite inherent to people and that people have been doing since really the dawn of civilization, is traveling to different locations and discovering new places. And it suggests that each one of us has a specific way that we like to travel. I know for me and my family, we're just like the people you described. We like to visit new places, but we also like to enjoy the local cuisine and food. We're foodies. Your company, in many ways, has distilled those distinctive traits of how people like to travel into something called the Travelsify travel DNA. Can you tell me a little bit more about the artificial intelligence that you have developed that really identifies how individuals, how they like to travel?
Everybody has his or her own lifestyle. It's really important that we are able at Travelsify to define the lifestyle and the products which are really matching that or these lifestyles. And I think that this is super important because that understanding of the product, that understanding of the lifestyle, it's becoming crucial because of the pandemic. But beyond the pandemic, it is also crucial because of one element, which is the end of the cookies era. And the end of the cookies era means it's accelerating the need for many industry in global commerce to rely to first-party data only. And if you rely on first-party data only, you need to enrich these first-party. And we have developed beyond the travel industry. We started to develop the merchant DNA. So that's really in order to know more and more 360-degree view of the cardholder and the loyalty member DNA in order to match his or her lifestyle.
You're in Luxembourg, and I think the last time we spoke, you were in Paris. So you've obviously been traveling. And this past weekend in the US, it was Memorial Day weekend, and we saw more people traveling than any other prior time in the pandemic. Bruno, your company tracks travel and also has really amazing travel algorithms. So the big question I have for you is travel coming back around the world?
Yes, travel is coming back, and especially in countries where there is a high level of vaccination, such as Israel, the UK, the US, and more European countries. And these countries are opening up domestically and step by step internationally, something which is real time. Next week, Spain and France will open their border to everybody who is vaccinated. So this will definitely boost the travel industry. And there is really an important element for people who want to travel, which is visibility. And during the pandemic, we have seen that the booking travels were made at the very, very last minute. With now the implementation of these new rules, which are clearer and which will last longer, we will see as a consequence the fact that people will have better visibility and no longer make last-minute bookings, so which is also positive. The link between the travel industry and the dining industry is really becoming deeper and deeper. So I think that if we want really to continue to have travel bouncing back, clear communication, vaccines, but also restaurants being open are critical elements. So I'm really positive for the third quarter of this year to continue to see that bounce back.
Well, those are some really fascinating insights, Bruno. Thanks for sharing them. One of the things that I'm seeing, and you alluded to, are that people's travel patterns and behaviors might be changing. I mean, I had to travel recently, and one of the things I noticed was that first class and business class was full. Coach was not. Before the pandemic, it was kind of the other way around. Yesterday, United Airlines announced that they were going to buy about 15 supersonic planes, and they're going to be getting back to the glory days of the Concorde and a little bit of Back to the Future. My question is, are people's travel patterns going to change going forward, or is travel going to reemerge pretty much the same way it was before the pandemic?
I don't think it will be exactly the same as it used to be. I think that pandemics forced everybody to deeply think about our life individually and collectively. What is the most important? Is it my family, my friends, my work, doing some sport, going out? What is my true lifestyle? And I think that that self-reflection will lead to an acceleration of a trend that we started to see before, which is buy better. Buy better for new consumer behaviors means it's about buying goods and services which better match my lifestyle. So when I'm referring to your example about first class occupancy, business class occupancy, I think people in that case have realized that they have not been traveling for a while. So now they would like to really enjoy conditions which are really important for their peace of mind. So I think that this is super important, and this will continue to have impacts beyond the current stage of the pandemic. At Travelsify, we have seen that even during that pandemic, people were ready to pay up to 10% more on average to have hotels or restaurants better matching their lifestyle. So this is really highlighting a new trend, better matching your lifestyle.
And Bruno, I have to ask, because you're such an expert in this space, where are you taking your vacation this summer?
South of Spain.
South of Spain. That sounds beautiful. Well, thank you for being on the show with us today. It was a real pleasure to speak with you.
It was a pleasure, Silvio.
Thank you. That's Bruno Chauvat, the CEO and founder of Travelsify, speaking to us from Luxembourg. Coming right up, some closing thoughts on travel and digital commerce. As we've heard on the show today, the future of travel may look very different than the past. What the future looks like is not entirely clear, but one thing is for sure, people have a fundamental need to explore and to meet other people in remote locations. In-person travel will never, ever disappear. It will grow, and with that growth will come a lot of new spending. That renaissance in travel spending will be a cornerstone of economic revival in many markets around the world. In many ways, this new surge marks the beginning of the end of the pandemic, and that is a very good thing. If you want to learn more about the latest trends in travel and digital commerce, check out our website at www.digcomall.org. That's www.digcomall.org. For the Digital Commerce Alliance, take care of yourself and take care of each other. God bless you. This is Silvio Tavares, signing off.